Welcome back to the channel, guys. So today we got to talk about Nintendo once again. And you may be wondering, why is OfferUp behind me? Well, it partially has to do with OfferUp. Now, Nintendo's gone after plenty of people, infringing on their copyrights and whatnot, these ROM websites in the past, dude hacking and selling modified systems in Japan. And now they're coming after people on OfferUp, selling modding services for the Nintendo Switch, selling modded NES classics. Pretty nuts. So there's one individual plus numerous unnamed defendants in this case. Nintendo has filed some court documents to sue this guy. And we do have these court documents right now. So if you're not familiar with OfferUp, before we jump into that, it's essentially pretty similar to Craigslist. I've never used the website before. I've only ever used it on my phone as, on the app. And it's pretty cool. There was a lot of these things littered on here originally. NES classics, Super Nintendo classics, scalpers selling them. And then when they were hackable, people trying to make money off of hacking them. I think it's kind of subsided a little bit. I don't know how popular this stuff is now, but in my area I searched and there's a handful of people selling, modded NES classics. If I search for Nintendo Switch mods, there's only a couple. I would have thought there would be a lot more listings, but I think maybe the news broke with this being in California, that this lawsuit is taking place, that maybe a lot of people have been removing their listings. So I'm no legal expert, but if I had any of these kind of posts up, I would definitely be removing them myself. But if you do, that's up to you. I seriously think with this court filing, this is more so, fear tactics. Nintendo trying to find somebody to target, to make an example out of, because they've done the same with other things. And in the U.S., there's been people modding and selling this stuff for a long while. Nintendo hasn't been going after them. There's some very specific things with this individual, though, and how he was selling things and advertising that I think did catch Nintendo's attention. And we'll get to that in a moment. I don't want to go through this whole document because it's like 29 pages. There's just a lot of repeated information. But the guy's name, Mikkel Dunak, I butchered it. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce names. It is what it is. But the complaints for DMC violation, copyright infringement, inducement to infringe copyright, false designation of origin, tons of stuff. So I'm really curious to see what that complaint list is going to be when they finally go after Soulja Boy and his game console and handheld. If they do go after him, because there's going to be a lot of craziness on there as well. And it's going to be multiple plaintiffs, not just Nintendo. But hey, we're beyond that now. We got to talk about this one. So what this dude was selling is essentially the complaint is that, they want injunctive relief and damages based on him and numerous other nameless defendants violating Nintendo's copyright to circumvent copyright protection on these devices, specifically the NES Classic and the Nintendo Switch. So Nintendo goes on to explain, why they have legal right to be going after this guy. So what this dude was doing, this is just a piece of it, and there's some more juicy stuff in the moment. Through OfferUp, the defendants have sold and continue to sell mod services for Nintendo Switch game consoles that, in quotation, so I'd imagine this is his specific wording, to play any Switch games they want. Upon information and belief, the defendant installs software modification on the Switch that allows customers to play copied, I don't know what the hell that was. I would think that would mean copied, but whatever, from unauthorized sources and loaded on a memory card, which that does circumvent Nintendo Switch's copyright protections. Nintendo made it very easy to circumvent copyright protections on that system. Is that their fault? Yes, sure it is. NVIDIA's fault. It's a lot of people's faults. But yeah, Nintendo has a right to try to protect what they have, right? Then also the NES Classic. This dude was loading up 800 plus games, selling it for $15 above retail. Also looking for injunctive relief and monetary damages for both of those violations, the NES Classic and the Switch hacking. So right here, they do have his address. I'm going to blur that out. This is a public document, but I don't want his address advertised on my videos anyway. So we'll skip through that. They're saying that the court that this is filed in, which is in California, Southern California, that it has jurisdiction because the values exceed $75,000, and it's an action between Washington Corporation and a California citizen. Pretty crazy stuff. So facts applicable to all claims, just Nintendo explaining all their properties and brands and whatnot. Don't really need to. We know Nintendo owns the rights to these copyrighted games, so that's not really the issue. The issue is the guy was advertising and selling them, but Nintendo's targeting, I was really curious and interested with this specific case because it takes place in my home state. This dude and his address, he's 40 minutes away from me, which is crazy. But I still think okay, Nintendo's in Washington. Why didn't they target somebody closer to home to make an example out of them? My thought was, without searching into it, is maybe people in Washington are just too scared to step on Nintendo's toes, and they don't advertise these kind of things because they know they're easy targets. So Nintendo had to reach out a little further to find somebody to make an example out of. That's what I think happened here, but I think also something specific this individual did really caught their attention. And they just go on to say that, the defendants illegally modify the Switch and pirate games. Nintendo employs measures that are very easily broken, or at least with the first version of the Switch. So let's continue. There's some really interesting stuff here. On Defendants Listings, on the above-mentioned OfferUp page, describes Nintendo Switch mod play Switch games Team Executor as the modification will allow you to play any Switch games you want, and how you'll get a free game if you purchase this modification. He also sells SD cards loaded with 4 to 6 games, and he advertises, hey, the price I'm asking is less than a single game. So Nintendo's been really targeting people talking about the Team Executor stuff or showcasing it working, which I think is more of a big piece to this. They just saw that he was selling NES classics as well. I think they were more looking at the Nintendo Switch stuff. And he's also prominently using the Nintendo Switch logo on his on his listings. Excuse me there. So that's a big no-no as well when you're using Nintendo's logos to advertise you doing illegal things. So they are stating that on the information that they have accumulated and belief that the defendants are in possession of the entire Nintendo Switch game library, containing most, if not all, Nintendo Switch games released in the US and around 45 games that have been released in Japan and not in North America. That they've used special software to extract each game and then put the collections on a hard drive so they can pretty much easily add these whenever they want to anybody's systems, right? So this is where things get really interesting. For example, to me, it's like, did Nintendo specifically target this guy because of some wordings in his listings and sent somebody out to contact him? I mean, you could just contact him straight through the app. So they could have done that and been like, hey, do you have this? Do you have that? To try to accumulate information to have a case against him. But this is the interesting thing. So they're saying on or about November 28th. So they have specific dates and details. The defendant sold an unlawful circumvention modification for the Nintendo Switch, together with an SD card that contained unauthorized copies of the Nintendo console games Splatoon 2, Super Mario Odyssey, and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Defendant's sale of pirated copy of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is particularly notable because that game will not even be released for sale in the US until December 7th, 2018. The defendants acquired a copy of Smash Bros. Ultimate from an unauthorized and unlawful source. Definitely pretty crazy. I think that Smash Bros. Thing, which is Nintendo's big seller for this year, big event, everything, it's already came out a week ago. That was huge for Nintendo. And for this guy, a week, maybe a little more than a week prior to release, selling copies of the game, I think that's what got him specifically targeted. But I still feel it was just to make an example out of somebody. So they're saying that they know, he's sold, they have belief anyway that he's modified over 100 systems. And that Nintendo consoles are being, the games are being used without their consent, and that he's derived substantial profit and financial benefit from this. And they're looking for damages for his profits, that they're entitled to his profits, that they're entitled also, $150,000 per infringement. Pretty crazy stuff. So this guy could be in it for quite a bit of money if this goes to court and he loses. Now, yeah, damages of $150 for each copyrighted game. So that's alternatively, they're just stating, because there's a bunch of complaints for what is it? How is it stated? Second claims for relief. So they have prayers for relief, and they list each relief that they're looking for, and each one essentially worded the same. There's a bunch of them, but just stating, that they're entitled to their profits and damages, but the damages would have to be ascertained in a court trial. That's why they're demanding a trial, and like up to $150,000 per game if they can't ascertain all that stuff. So pretty nuts. This was just recently filed, just a couple days ago, and it's a scary time, for people doing this kind of thing. Does anybody have a legal right to profit off of Nintendo's properties? No, not illegally anyway. Sure, you could sell, their games if you bought them. If you bought the cartridge, you could resell it if you want. That's fine. Nintendo has the right to do this kind of stuff, but it just strikes me odd targeting a specific individual on OfferUp doing this. But like I said, I think that Super Smash Bros. Thing was really what got the attention put on him. It's kind of like a thing like, hey, I don't care if people hack their systems. I don't care what you do. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not so Nintendo focused that I'm like, no, don't do this. Nintendo's great. I'm not thinking that. I like Nintendo. I like the games they make. Myself personally, I will not hack my Nintendo Switch within its lifetime. I do want to support, companies who make games for it. Nintendo's not the only one making games for the system, but I want to support those companies, give them my money for games that I want to play. So with current generation systems, I won't hack them, I won't modify them, I won't do any of that kind of stuff until they're long off of the marketplace. Games aren't being made for them anymore. And then I explore those kind of things. But if you're doing that now, that's on you. I don't care. It doesn't bother me one way or another. I have my certain feelings about it, but I'm not against, emulation. I'm not against ROMs. I'm not against any of that kind of stuff. But I do find these kind of news stories a little crazy because I think it's more so Nintendo specifically targeting people to create fear to stop others from doing the same thing. Because I'm sure, they have resources, but do they have the time to go after every single person doing this? No, I don't think they're able to do that. So they have to pick and choose to target specific individuals, like those ROM websites. This guy in California selling this stuff to scare others from not doing it as well. Did Nintendo lose money on this kind of stuff? Sure, I believe they do. People not wanting to pay for their games and they're playing new games. It is what it is. But there you guys go. I just wanted to share this because it's in my home state. Dude's fairly close to me. Pretty crazy stuff. OfferUp being involved, people selling on there. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Smash that like button, subscribe, make sweet ass love to that notification bell because I know you want to. And with that said, guys, I will catch y'all next time. Peace out, bye-bye, and boom!